Hi everyone, my name is Jason, and today I want to quickly show how to set up Cursor to use Neo4j's MCP server. Okay, so I'm assuming you've already downloaded and installed Cursor, so I'm going to jump right in here. Okay, so if you want to add an MCP server to Cursor, you'll actually have two options. You can put it locally so that only the project makes use of those servers, or you could put it globally. Alright, so for the first option for projects, to do this, what you have to do is create a new folder, call it .cursor. So in this hidden folder, you're going to add in a mcp.json file. And here, this is where you'll paste in your typical MCP server config. For Neo4j, if you haven't already got an MCP server set up, you can just copy and paste the setup code from the PyPy entry for MCP Neo4j cipher. So again, we're just going to copy this and we're going to paste it into this MCP JSON file. Now, don't forget to make sure you have opening and closing braces. The sample configuration doesn't include the outside braces. Okay, one thing to note here too is here by default we're connecting to a local Neo4j instance, which is also what I will demonstrate with. But here it's labeled Aura, which is the cloud managed instance. So just for clarity, I'm going to rename this desktop, and the password for my local instance is just very strong ABCD1234. And to show you my database right here, again, this is data from an earlier project using Assembly AI to extract entity data from a podcast that my colleague did. This is entity data extracted from 3 podcasts. Okay, so going back to Cursor. So once this has been saved, you'll see here on the lower left, Cursor will bring up a dialog box asking if you want to enable this server. I do, so I will click enable. Then I can quickly test this, and I'll just ask who is mentioned in the database. Here, Cursor realizes that it needs to call the Neo4j MCP server. One thing to note is anytime it wants to, you're going to have to click on this run tool option by default. Now, if you don't want to click run tool every single time, let's see, just a moment. There are no entries for people in the database. So here, depending on the times you run it, so the last time I did this, it realized it needed to first check the schema, right? So what I could do is, what is the schema of the database? So click run tool. Great. So here it should now have the data for the person node, which is not going to be here a person, right? It's going to be a person name. So now that it knows the schema, it should be able to answer my question from before. Who is mentioned in the database? Okay, and I'll show you how to get rid of this run tool option in a moment here. Cool, awesome. So it did find Jennifer's name in here. Now, let me show you the option for skipping out on running that run tool every single time. So come up here to Cursor Settings, click on Features, and if you scroll down to Enable Auto Run, this will allow Cursor to run, well, basically any tool that you attach without asking for a validation first. Now you can enable some fine-grained controls. Yeah, so adding in commands, allow deny list is here. Okay, so coming back to the data here. So we can see here, it's mentioned my colleague's name, Jennifer Reif, but Jennifer's name is misspelled here. So I could ask Cursor here to fix that, but I'm here to show how to connect with the Neo4j database to write some code, not to interface with the data directly. But just so you're aware, because of the tool, Cursor could do that. All right, so instead, what we're going to do is we're going to modify this code. So I'm going to ask Cursor to turn the main.py file to change node names for us. Okay, so write a script that takes 2 string arguments. A target string and a replace with string. Then replace all instances of nodes with a property name from the target string to the replace with. Okay, this is probably overly explicit, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Okay, so pretty quick. So what cursor has written up is, let's push it to main here and I'll read it from there, except file. And okay, so I'm just gonna walk through this real quickly. Say update node name. It will connect to the Neo4j driver. In here it will match for any node with a name property, and if it finds that target, it will set the name to the replace. Okay, very simple. So here it's using the txrun API option, which is perfectly fine. I normally would recommend using the newer execute query API, but that's more than we need to cover today. So this should work just by quickly glancing at it. Yes, so you need to add in dependencies first before you run anything here. So let me add those. So Neo4j, and that's all I need, right? Yes, okay. All right, let's try that again. So we're gonna do uv run main.py file, the target property, and the replace with. Hopefully this will run. All right, so go back to the database, and oh, I should have shown you this earlier. So every person name. So here we now have the correctly spelled node. Apologies, I should have shown this call so you could see it incorrectly in the database, but cursor was correct when it pulled that string. This was incorrect earlier. All right, so if you do want to add the MCP server globally to all your cursor instances, this MCP JSON file just needs to be copy and pasted to, on my system here, users. So this would be my home folder, and here there should be a .cursor folder. Just drop the MCP.json file here and restart cursor. You might not have to restart cursor. Just drop it in there and it should be available here. All right, so that's a quick example of how to hook up cursor to Neo4j's MCP server and start using it to help you code Neo4j related code. Thanks, have a good one.